in front of you. How did you prepare the team? Well, good evening, good afternoon. I hope I prepared them well. We had a good preparation. We had a few hours to regenerate also, spend some time with the families. I think that's good for the players. That's giving them good vibes. Despite of what's in front of us, I think we made a good analysis. We have a very good idea of how they play when they are in possession or when they play against the ball. Before the first match, I already said that we are not expecting to beat any opponent with many goals. It's just about to beat them. But you could see against Switzerland, the Hungarians, they played two different half times. They were very robust in the end. In the first half, they didn't get too much into the game. But in the second half time, they made a lot of pressure. They played very physical, very robust. They have many players who play together for a long time, have a coach who's with them for a longer time. So I think everybody knows their role on the pitch, what they have to do and what they don't have to do. Hello, Mr. Nagelsmann. What do you think will be the key for success tomorrow when you already have analyzed the opponent? And what about the the strength and the form of our players after this long season? Well, in general, I'm not concerned about their form. When you see the rhythm, have a game on Wednesday, have a game on Friday, Saturday, it's kind of like that for players from big clubs. Of course, they feel the long season that's behind them, but many players have seasons like that. So that's to say that for the Hungarians or other teams that will come, it's the same for them, the same strain. So, but everybody is in a very good form. Everybody is giving a great impression. So there are many keys against Hungarian. It's a team who plays a very good transition game. They are quite dangerous with their transition. Doesn't matter which striker is playing. They are very strong with their headers. They don't have too many players in the box, but they work with crosses, a lot of crosses. Also, with the free kicks, they are very dangerous. I think during the qualifiers, they were the second best team in regards to scoring after free kicks. So that's why we shouldn't make too many fouls. That's why we should avoid too many free kicks around our box. Also, I don't want to go too much into the details about their weaknesses, but some things that would give us a chance. But also, there's always the danger if we're not cautious enough. But I prepared my players enough about their strikers, and I hope that we put everything on the pitch tomorrow. Julian against Hungary in recent times, you didn't look that well, and Scotland wasn't really that big of a task for the team. Do you think this will be the first real test? You already mentioned the transition play of the transition game of Hungary. Do you think this will be the first test for the defense? No, I already said after the game against Scotland, of course it's always in regards to the opponent, but it's always your own performance that you put on the pitch. So we also train if we concede the first goal, if we are behind, and you try to train different things in practice in order to get used to those situations. I think Scotland was one of those matches where We were quite confident, quite dominant in the first 20 minutes, of course. Then after the red card, they weren't really equal already in numbers. But I think I didn't really assess Scotland a lot worse than Hungary, but more or less on a similar level. So it really depends on our performance tomorrow, how we will enter the match, how we will start the match. Of course, the Hungarians have a little bit more pressure than us because of the result. So maybe they have to play a little bit more on the offense, because otherwise they could be eliminated from the tournament already. So I think they'll play a little bit more offensive than they played against Switzerland. And I think we will play more or less the same as we played against Scotland. Hello, Mr. Nagelsmann. The first games are over. The favorites have played their first games. How do you assess the favorites? Were there any surprises for you? Well, I think we didn't see enough matches in order to assess every opponent. Also, I have other work to do than watch every match of every team. So I'm thinking more about Hungary and Switzerland. Of course, I watched every match, and there were many interesting matches, but there were also some boring matches. Like it is always in football, there are some good moments that you enjoy as a supporter, as a fan, and there are other more boring moments. I think in the match against Scotland, it was the same. There were periods that were more interesting as others, but that's not a problem. I said that a couple of times. I'm not sitting in front of the screen and taking notes all the time. No, I'm enjoying watching those matches. Of course, I could watch another 14 matches of Switzerland, but then I would lack in focus before that match. So you need to do that step by step, the analysis, especially when you're the head coach. When you have good assistants, you don't have to coach so much because you have good assistants. And okay, now we're doing our match against Hungary, then Switzerland, and then we see what's going on afterwards.
Hello, this is Eric from NRK Norway over here. I wanted to ask you a question about Toni Kroos, who's back again now, played a great match against Scotland. Can you tell us how important you see him for this team, and also how stupid a nickname Kerpas Toni looks after a great match like that?
I think talk about Toni a lot of times in the last couple of weeks and months. He's very important for us with his experience, with his successful career. He's always calm in ball possession. You can give him the ball. Normally, do not make any mistake. I think game against Scotland was also a very, very good performance. 99% of his passes were complete. They were not only square passes, as you mentioned. The nickname is crazy. Nowadays, there are existing statistics for everything, and also for the passes and where you deliver your passes, where you find free spaces, free members of your team in free spaces. And I think he's still one of the top 3 players in the world who can find players in between the lines of the opponents and in better positions and offensive positions to create chances and goals. And I think he will do it tomorrow as well. It's not that easy to defend him. You always have good solutions in ball possession and in doing some quick movements to find free space, especially when you get man-to-man coverage. I think Hungary will have a plan to defend him a little bit more than the Scottish team will do it. But Toni is clever enough and smart enough to find solutions in discussion with me, and then he will have a big impact tomorrow as well.
Roman Gerd vom ND. Julian, Sie haben mal von Soft-Skill-Aktionen gesprochen.
Julian, you spoke about soft skill actions when you watch your players before you nominate them for the squad. When you look at soft skills such as Thomas Müller before his substitution, where he came in his living room in Munich, how important is that for you, and in which regard the Stuttgart players can look forward to play at their home ground now? Well, I don't want to celebrate that too much, especially the substitutions that are not too much tactical. These are mostly decisions from my assistants at that moment, because sometimes I'm kind of a how can I put it? I'm a little bit a prisoner of my own coaching, of my own observation of the match. That's why it's important to have two different people next to me, Sandro and Benji, who are a little bit more distant and who are not that much involved maybe. Of course, I had the idea to bring Emre and to bring Thomas, but it's really important also that your assistants remind you of that and that they show you certain situations. In the end, there's a running gag between us in our staff. We're always looking if it's someone's birthday, so we have to substitute them because there's always the journalist's question coming, hey, it's his birthday, is he going to play today? But yeah, normally it's performance which deserves to be on the pitch, and but if it's possible to give someone a little goodie, we could do that if it's possible, and maybe there will also be a match on their home ground tomorrow for one or the other player.
Hi Julian, Nick Ames from The Guardian in London. You've got, I think, the oldest squad in the tournament, but you've also got a group of the most exciting young players, of course. Could you talk a little bit, please, about how the connections on and off the pitch between the old generation and the younger guys are maybe developing day by day, game by game?
I think it's always good to have a good mix in your team between experienced players and young talented players. I think it's important that the young players, the young talented players, are open-minded, listen to the older players with big experience to improve. It's not only about improving on the pitch; it's also improving off the pitch with the discussions. When you have some experienced players in your squad, they have all experience in different situations, have solutions for different situations, especially when you talk about pressure, when you talk about expectation of fans, situations to deal with on the pitch and off the pitch. So I think to have a good mix, it's really good, and the mood in our camp is really excellent, and also the connection between the young players and the old players is really good. When we have a training session, we play often the young team against the older one, and it's always a hard fight. So I think it's a good mix. For the future, we have to find new solutions because we have, as you mentioned, the oldest squad, and we need to have a bit more younger players in the future. But for this tournament, it's a perfect mix, and we can be very successful.
Stefan Kumberger, Sport 1. Herr Nagelsmann, Herzogenaurach liegt ja relativ zentral in Deutschland.
Mr. Nagelsmann, Herzogenaurach is quite centrally located in Germany. Munich, Stuttgart and Augsburg are not so far away. Is that really important? Is that crucial? Does it have any impact for you? And maybe you could speak a little bit more detailed about the personnel, because Thomas Müller got hit, I think. Now the personnel, everybody is in good health, everybody is fit, everybody is in top form, nothing negative. And yes, we're on our side in Herzogenaurach is centrally located, as you said. But nonetheless, when you're sitting in the coach, it's still a long journey. It's always good when you're not obliged to sit too much time in the coach or in the train, to travel too much. That is why the site that Adidas has chosen so many years ago, a good site, and that's why we're happy to be here. Julian, probably there were never so many question marks about the future of players during a tournament. How do you manage that? Fürich, Undav, Jonathan Tah, all of them, they still have an open future. How do you manage that situation personally? Not at all. You're doing it. You're doing it as Pletty Goal. I hope everybody's watching your transfer update. I was already reflecting about how the situation was during other tournaments. I couldn't say that it is more extreme today. I know that from the perspective of a club, they're kind of impatient at this point of the season. But in general, I think the decisions of the boys in the squad have been very good decisions. Most of them stay at their clubs where they are in a good position, or they change to clubs with huge or good projects. So I think these are decisions for their life. And of course, sometimes those reflections, those thoughts take a few percent off your mind. But I think it's also okay, because you have to think about your future. And I think all of my players already thought about their future in order then to have that clarity. So I don't really have the feeling that someone is distracted, because eventually these are nice decisions that you have to take, and it's nothing really bad. So I'm not attacking you. Please don't misunderstand me. It was just a little joke.
Hi, Julian. Andy Dillon from the Sun in London. Jürgen Klinsmann has said in my newspaper today that he could see the development of Musiala and Bellingham becoming very much like the rivalry between Messi and Ronaldo over the next few years. Is that something you'd like to see? Could it be healthy for them? And are you more of a Messi or a Ronaldo man?
That's also a typical question of a journalist. I think both Messi and Ronaldo were great players, and they're still great players with a lot of success in their career. So at the end, I think both players could be very, very good for your team. Now they're not that young anymore, but yeah. We will see Ronaldo in this tournament as well. So let's see what he will do today. And Jude and Jamal are two great players, but totally different players. Jude is a bit more box to box, a bit more working with his body. Jamal is a bit more have more capability in dribbling. Both players score goals, are very young, very, very talented. I know Jamal for a long time. I do not know Jude, but I heard a lot of good things about Jude as well. That he's also open-minded, like Jamal. He want to improve, or they want to improve every day. Want to be better. Listen to their coaches, listen to their teammates. So I think they will develop next couple of months and years in a great way, and perhaps they can have a big duel, being one of the best players of the world. So when they push each other, it's good for us, good for Bayern, good for Real, good for England. So they should do this.
Christian Wupp von der Funke Mediengruppe, weil Maxi schon da drüben steht. Könnten Sie erklären, wie sich das Anforderungsprofil an Außenverteidiger in den vergangenen Jahren verändert hat?
Could you please explain what you expect of the wingbacks and why the wingbacks in football are so rare, such a rarity? Well, I don't know how it changed over the years. I can say what I expect. When I was coach at the club, all of my wing defenders, wingbacks, scored 6 to 8 goals in a season. So that was always my expectation, to be really close in the team. There are many teams who direct the game to the center. Most of the teams direct the game towards outside and defending deeper. Then you rarely have that open space. So in that regard, then you have that space on the wings, which those wingbacks should benefit from. I think that this classical position in a row of 3, row of 4, sometimes you're in a flat 5. I think that the expectations always to come back to the center, also having the capability to play as a center back. That's important for me, but other coaches see it differently. There are coaches who say the wing back has only run up and down the line. Why it has changed, I don't know. Why they are rare, I don't know. I can't tell you. But I think many coaches also sometimes lack the fantasy, the imagination to put one or another player on this position to give them the opportunity to evolve, to develop on this position. I know I also did it with one player where the feedback of the journalists wasn't that great. It didn't work so much, although I still think that he would be really good on that position. Achraf Hakimi also is not a right back. Belly Hendricks also is not a right back. He learned to be a 10. I name one more, Niki Süle also. He grew up playing the 10 at Eintracht Frankfurt. So sometimes you need some imagination that players are capable of playing different positions. Mr. Nagelsmann at the train station at Bad Cannstatt, I met two supporters. They said that the atmosphere during the opening match was 50-50, not bad, not good. Could you maybe say a few sentences yourself about the atmosphere, and what are your expectations about Stuttgart public here? Well, I was here for a few matches. Mainly I saw VfB supporters, of course, VfB Stuttgart supporters, but I hope some of them are also supporters of the national team. In general, there's a loud atmosphere here. And I already said, always assessing the atmosphere during those 90 minutes. I'm not really able to, because I'm in my tunnel during the match. I'm thinking about the match. Yes, of course, sometimes you feel the atmosphere, and I think I was quite happy with it. Of course, better is always possible. I'm always saying that to my players also. I think that is normal. Better is always possible. And maybe it's not only the team, but also the supporters who have to get used to this tournament. And now we're doing the second step with hopefully more points and hopefully make the second step also in regards to the atmosphere.
Question from Hungary. Willi Orban, would you take him on your squad, on your starting squad, on the German team?
Eine Startelf weiß ich jetzt nicht, aber Willi ist ein super Spieler, sehr guter Spieler. Wir haben aber auch
in the starting 11, I don't know, but Willi Orban is a very good player, great player. But we have good center backs also. He's very good, knows how to open the game, played a very good season at Leipzig, and I think he's one of the pillars of the Hungarian team. So, and I don't want to take away Willi of my colleague. So I reckon he'll be a very good opponent tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to see him again tomorrow. Hello, Maxi. A little bit more than 1 year ago, you were relegated with Hertha Berlin. If someone had told you back then that you'd play one of the best seasons and that you'd play with Stuttgart, you'd be vice champion, you'd qualify for the Champions League, you would have said this person is crazy, wouldn't you? And a second question about the families of the players. What's about your partner? Will she be in the stadium tomorrow? How important is it for you? Well, first of all, it would have been a little bit surreal, and I would have said to that person, yeah, you're crazy, if this person had said all that to me. Of course, I always believed in myself. I always knew that I was capable to play a good season, to have the quality. But of course, that it goes that much up in the span of only 1 year, that is really impressive. But as I said, I always believed in myself, always gave everything, and I'm really grateful also that I received that opportunity, the chance from my club, from VfB, to develop on my position. That was really good for my development, for my evolution as a player. That's why I'm really happy about my season. And about the other topic, yes, of course, my girlfriend will be in the stadium, as well as all of my family. And of course, we're staying in contact very intensively. Of course, it's not really easy when you're separated from your family and your girlfriend for so many weeks. But I think it's a good solution that after the match, the partners can accompany us into the camp, that we have at least a little bit of contact. But yeah, it's a shame, or not a shame, but sometimes it's tough when you're separated for so many weeks from your family. That's why I'm really looking forward to see everybody tomorrow. Maxi, a question about Hungary. Is it more difficult to play against them as against playing Scotland? And what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Well, I think it will be a different match. We also said before the match against Scotland already that Hungary will be very difficult. We played really well against Scotland. We pressed very early, didn't give them too many chances to develop their own style and put our own style dominantly on the pitch. As I said, we created many problems, many difficulties for Scotland. And if we manage to do the same against Hungary tomorrow, I think it will be really good. But we know that we need to have a performance such as against Scotland. Because if we do any mistakes, it could be really hurtful, especially Hungary with Soboslai. When they have the ball, they can be very dangerous also with the free kicks. We have to be cautious. Also, Hungary defends in a very compact way, so we have to find those free spaces and score.
Your coach just told us that you play young against old in the training sessions.
Ihr Trainer hat uns gerade erzählt, dass im Training die Jungen gegen die Alten gespielt. Wer gewinnt da? Wer schießt die Tore? Well, it's different. Sometimes it's the younger, sometimes it's the older ones that win. I think it's quite balanced. Everybody wants to win those matches during practice. I think it really shows for the team. No one gives any presents. Everybody wants to win. Everybody's eager, and we want to take this energy into the matches, which is really important. That's why it's a hard battle during our training sessions, and tomorrow it will be the same during the match.
Second, please.
The Hungarian and the German team have met 3 times in the last years. Did you watch these games? Does this have any importance before the game?
Yes, of course, I saw those matches. I think that the matches were quite differently. They are quite differently, so they won't have any impact for the match tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be an all-new match, and we have to look on ourselves. We have to focus on ourselves. I think we showed against Scotland our capability, and we need this performance, a performance like this tomorrow. We know that Hungary showed very good performances against bigger teams, had very good results, so we know what to expect. We have to be at 100% to get such a performance on the pitch.
Ja, danke. Carlos Urbina, Stuttgarter Zeitung, Stuttgarter Nachrichten. Hier.
One question about the position. The coach just explains what he's expecting of a wing back. Can you maybe talk a little bit about how you have to change your play style from your role that you're used to in the club at VfB Stuttgart? Well, in many situations, I think the position is quite similar. Which is more often the case here is that I go into the last line, not coming from a deeper position, but I'm helping in the build-up. Thanks to the build-up, I'm already going into the last line, and I need to find that balance between offense and defense, because if we lose the ball in the middle and I'm staying up high, the way is really long. So I still need to find that rhythm to adapt to that in order to be back in time in those situations if we lose the ball in the center. But in general, I think the play style is quite similar. And I have in front of me many players with individual top qualities to whom I can pass the ball. They're always able to create something, which was also the case in the club at VfB Stuttgart. That's why I'm quite confident why it will work out tomorrow. Emotionen are always important in football, but with Julian Nagelsmann, one has the feeling that it is really important. Your home clubs were integrated. People also speaking about their younger selves who would be so happy about what they achieved now. Do you feel it also like the coach that the emotions are quite an important factor for this tournament? Well, I think everybody likes to remember those times when you were a little boy and you played football without a worry in the world. And today, I think it's due to the fact that there's a lot of pressure coming from the media. So, yes, you have to remember that as a little boy, you had a different kind of pressure because you wanted to get up, you wanted to get better, but the pressure was different. You didn't have a worry in the world. You just wanted to play football. And to get back this no worry attitude. This is important. We have many young players who have this no worry attitude. We need that attitude, and I think we showed it during the last matches, and we want to show that also during the next matches. As a Bundesliga professional, you played many times against Scholley, Szoboszlai, and Orban. How would you assess those three players? All of them are really good players. They have very good qualities. Everybody has their own advantages. I think Willi Orban is a very good defender with a good header play. Not only defending very well, but he can be very dangerous during free kick situations in the offense. I think he scored many goals with his right foot, which is always a weapon. Scholley, also a very good player in the one-on-ones. He's quite quick. He can always be a very dangerous guy. He's one of those guys who doesn't think too much. He just goes into the dribbling and makes life difficult for a defender. As I said, or as you said, I already played against all three of them a couple of times, and I know how to prepare against them and how to be well prepared against them.
Hi Max, Riyadh Al Samurai from the Daily Mail. Just wondering about Toni Kroos. Could you describe him from the perspective of a teammate and what he's like, both as a player when you see him up close and personal, what he's like as a guy, and also, are you a bit surprised that, given the level he's playing at, that he'll be retiring?
Ja, ich glaube, wir sind alle sehr, sehr froh, dass Toni Kroos bei uns ist. Gibt uns auf dem Platz.
Well, I think all of us were really happy that Toni Kroos is among us. I think he gives us a certain security on the pitch and off the pitch, which is probably hard to reach. So we are really happy that he's with us. He gives us a lot of security on the pitch when we have the ball. You can always pass the ball to him. He's always anticipating situations, and he's always able to create something when he has the ball, like almost no one else. I think his experience is also very valuable, very precious for us. And as a personality, he's really still both full feet on the ground. Despite all his career successes, he's not an arrogant, snobbish star, but he's really on the ground. Also with the new younger players, he has a really good contact. For us also, I think that was important to feel integrated. He was really friendly from the first second on. That is important, and I think that he elevates the team on and off the pitch even more.
Tobi Altscheffel von Sportbild. Zum einen unter Fans ist es ja sehr beliebt, wenn man sich so den Spielplan mal anschaut, zu sehen.
Between supporters, it's they like, supporters like it to do those calculations. If we become first, if we become second in the group, we play against this or that team in the last in the round of 16 and so on. Do you do that also? And second question, Ito, your teammate, is going to Bayern. Jonathan Tah, it's not clear yet, but do you fear that too many players, that VfB Stuttgart is losing too many players? Well, of course, you're thinking about your group and what could happen if you're on first place or second place. You might meet a so-called weaker opponent if you are first of your group, but we didn't think too much about that. We first of all want to play our two next matches and be successful. And if you want to become European champion, you have to beat anyway. You have to beat everybody. And it doesn't matter if it's a strong or weaker opponent, you have to win against everybody. And the other question, yes, of course, it would be a shame if we lost too many players. Yes, with Ito, it is already fixed. How it will go with other players, I can only guess. I only see what I read in the press. I can only say that we played a very successful season. And on and off the pitch, we grew together. We have this unity as a team, and I think we created something, this strong foundation in the team. So, on the other hand, everybody wants to have the best for their own individual future, and how the decisions of individuals will be, I cannot say. I can just say that I hope that as many as possible will stay, because we created something this season, and I hope that we can play a successful season next year. But we also showed this season that we could manage, that we could compensate missing players. It doesn't matter if it was the Asian Cup, the African Cup, if it was injuries or bookings. We always manage to compensate those players. And if there's too many players who will leave the team, then I think we will compensate that too, and we will have another successful season too. To follow up on the question of the colleague, so I can conclude that you plan to come back as a European champion to VfB Stuttgart, and you're not dreaming of Real Madrid yet. Well, at the moment, I'm dreaming of the Euro. That's where my focus is. And of course, the nicest thing would be to return as a European champion to VfB Stuttgart. And I can't add anything to that.